Speaking of people that I don't think are telling the truth. Now, listen, when a woman comes forward and says that a man sexually assaulted her, I've been very consistent on this, they deserve to be heard. There should be an investigation. But there's also the issue of credibility. So Tara Reade came out and said that Joe Biden sexually assaulted her back in 1993. She hasn't done really hardly any press at all, but her first sit-down interview nationally was with Megyn Kelly. She did an exclusive interview with Tara Reade in regards to this, and Megyn Kelly asked her if she believes that we should believe all women making allegations about sexual assault. This is what Tara Reade had to say.
I believe in the survivors that have come forward, like Blasey Ford, and the other ones that have come forward. I do stand with them. I think that there needs to be a conversation rather than a hashtag.
All right, well, we're having that conversation, so I don't disagree with her on that one, but she was asked, does Joe Biden deserve a chance to defend himself? Here's what she said about that.
I think he's been doing that, right? He's had a chance for more platforms than I have.
All right, I don't have a problem with anything until this point, and here's where she loses, in my personal opinion, a ton of credibility, besides the fact that her story has consistently changed over the years. Megyn Kelly asked her a very good question. She asked her, would you be willing to go under oath like the Kavanaugh accuser? Have a listen to this answer.
Absolutely.
They say, well, she subjected herself to cross-examination. Would you do that?
Absolutely.
They also point out that she took a polygraph controlled by someone on her team. Is that something you want to do?
I'm not a criminal. Joe Biden should take the polygraph. What kind of precedent does that set for survivors of violence? Does that mean we're presumed guilty and we all have to take polygraphs? So I will take one if Joe Biden takes one. But I'm not a criminal.
All right, it's an interesting answer that I don't like. First of all, what a polygraph does is it gives public perception whether you're telling the truth or not. In a perfect world, would it be nice if we can get both of them in a room to take a polygraph? Absolutely. I'd be all for that. But if you're the person that is adamant that you were sexually assaulted, and there are people out there that are saying you are not telling the truth, that you're doing it for political purposes or whatever, wouldn't you be aggressive in answering that question? Wouldn't you say, absolutely, give me that damn polygraph? Because if somebody accused me of anything that I didn't do, and it was all over the world, I would want to take that polygraph immediately. I don't like her answer. Well, I'm not a criminal. Very, very bizarre way of answering that question, and I didn't like it. She was asked if Joe Biden had ever given the presumption, should be given the presumption of innocence. Here's what she said to that.
No. I mean, it's been stunning, actually, how the some of his surrogates with the blue checks, that are his surrogates, have been saying really horrible things about me and to me on social media. He hasn't himself, but there's a measure of hypocrisy with the campaign saying it's safe. It's not been safe. All my social media has been hacked. All my personal information has been dragged through. Every person that maybe has a gripe against me, an ex-boyfriend or an ex-landlord or whatever it is, has been able to have a platform rather than me. Talking about things that have nothing to do with 1993, like even the whole thing with being called a Russian agent, that in particular, that incites people. People actually, I got a death threat from that because they thought I was being a traitor to America. And I mean, these are serious things. And his campaign is taking this position that they want all women to be able to speak safely. I have not experienced that.
All right, well, I will say this. Obviously, I don't support any death threats of anybody. So that's number one. There's no excuse for that. There are going to be some whack jobs out there. Joe Biden's not responsible for that, number one. Number two, there's interviews she's canceled. She's changed her story multiple times. You lose credibility when you do things like that. The women that were raped by Bill Cosby, and there are many women that Bill Cosby raped, their stories have been consistent for years. They haven't changed their story one bit. I'll even go Bill Clinton. Monica Lewinsky's story did not change. She's always been consistent with what took place. You have a lot more credibility when your story does not change. Now, I understand years go by. You might forget some things, but this is very, very different. I think she loses a lot of credibility for that.
I don't see a life-changing, traumatizing, PTSD type of experience ever changing in your brain. I mean, I'm sure we've all been through experiences where something has happened to us that has adversely affected our life or altered our thought process, for the rest of our lives, and you don't forget anything about those specific situations. And I think that this, along with the fact that it's very, very coincidental that Joe Biden is running for president of the United States. This happened 27 years ago. I'm not overly confident that she is telling the truth at this point.
I'm not so sure either. I don't think this interview helped her any. One more cut we want to play here. And she was asked by Megyn Kelly. And by the way, I thought Megyn Kelly did a pretty good job in this interview. She's pretty good at interviewing people. I'll give her that. She's got blood coming out of her eyes or wherever. But other than that, I think she's very good at her job. So she asked.
Hey, did you see Bombshell, by the way?
No, I did not. She asked.
Very good movie.
Okay, thank you. I've not seen that. She asked Tara Reade, what would you say to Joe Biden if you had a chance to talk to him right now? Here's what she said.
I want to say, you and I were there, Joe Biden. Please step forward and be held accountable. You should not be running on character for the President of the United States.
You want him to withdraw?
I wish he would, but he won't, but I wish he would. That's how I feel emotionally.
Do you want an apology?
I think it's a little late.
Okay, here's my problem with that idiotic statement, okay? Don't run on your character. She's talking about character. I'll say it again. Does Donald Trump have character? 25 women have come forward accusing Donald Trump of sexual assault or rape. He bragged about sexual assault. So for her to say he shouldn't run on character or, he doesn't have the character to be the president is ridiculous. That sounds political. After listening to this interview, I've been very careful with my statements, and I still stand true to it. All women deserve to be heard, but I don't think this woman is credible, and it has nothing to do with politics. And I'm not saying that every single woman that has come forward and accused Donald Trump is credible either. It's not what I'm saying. I think his ex-wife is. I think there are some women are in those 25 women. Maybe some aren't. I don't believe this woman is credible. And by the way, for the record, nobody else has ever come forward and accused Joe Biden of sexual assault. If you want to say that sniffing hair is the same as raping a woman, I'm sorry, I disagree with that premise.
He has been seen sniffing, we'll say, 7 to 10 young women's hair that are not his own child over the last 10 to 20
And he was
years.
Criticized for that.
He's definitely the name Creepy Joe. He has that name for a reason. But I also agree. I don't believe this woman necessarily.
Well,
and I if you watch the documentary called Plandemic with a doctor called Judy Mikovits, you watch that documentary, you can tell that, in my opinion, that she is legitimately telling the truth. She is speaking from the heart. To me, Tara Reade sounds scripted to me.
Yes, I agree with you. I think she did sound scripted. I agree with that.
No, I was just gonna say there's I'm guessing a pretty big difference between sniffing hair and then pushing someone against a wall and digitally penetrating.
Well, of course
them.
there is.
Digitally? Is that what they call it?
Yes, digitally.
I just wanted to say digitally penetrating.
Oh, okay. Well,
and that's what she's accusing Joe Biden of doing in '93.
Right. You have 5 digits on your hands.
Digitally. Oh,
Yes.
okay. So that's another word for using your finger.
Correct.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. I guess I must
Just
be
not indelicate.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I'm giving Stein right now 1 digit on my finger, but
Is it your middle finger?
yeah, I'm giving him 1 digit. I just digitally offended you. Stein.
That's very appropriate, Brian.
Digitally
Thank you.
offended
I really
you.
appreciate that. I'm sure
okay.
Stein does as well.
So look, should we take a few calls on this? I mean, look, I don't think she's very credible based on this interview. Take the polygraph test. That will help your credibility. Stop changing your story. Stop canceling interviews last minute.
And why didn't you come out in 94, 95, 96?
Here's why I'm not going that.
Every single year. I understand for the last 27 years, but and you have her mother calling in to Larry King and having that conversation.
That phone call doesn't mean anything.
Back in 93, and that was deleted.
Let me just give out the number
from
real quick.
Google Play for whatever reason.
Let me just give out the number real quick, then continue. Number to call if you want to. Do you believe this woman, Tara Reade? Do you think Joe Biden is a sexual assaulter? 257-5396. Again, the number 702-257-5396.
Her story has changed. Back in '93, she JD. She never came out publicly, but she did file some sort of report apparently that claimed sexual harassment. That evolved into sexual assault many years later, coinciding with an election year, of course.
Right, exactly.
So it is a little bit suspicious, perhaps. And then the other thing that she said that I thought was very interesting in that last clip that we played was Megyn Kelly said, "Do you want an apology from Joe Biden?" And she said, "I think it's too late for that." And so I'm wondering, would an apology in 93, 94 have been okay?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
If it's too late now, would it have been okay 25 years ago? I don't know what she meant by that.
Here's what I think she wants. I believe she wants Biden out of the race. I believe she has political motives. That's what I believe.
She certainly does, but she is a lifelong Democrat. So the question is, and there's been a lot of conversation about this, Andrew Cuomo, Michelle Obama in some situations, is it possible that the Democratic Party doesn't want or doesn't think Joe Biden is a viable candidate? Because I certainly don't, and they are putting people like Tara Reade in situations like this to potentially get him out of that race.
No, because if they didn't want Joe Biden in there, they would have gotten some other candidates that would have had a better chance of winning. So that's why I disagree with that.